right now, as you're listening to this, your heart is beating. And by the end of the day, it's going to have beaten about 100,000 times.
Yeah, which is, I mean, over an average lifetime, that's roughly 2.5 billion beats.
2.5 billion? That's insane.
It is. And there's no maintenance breaks, no
Okay.
scheduled downtime, no days off.
Right. But here's the really terrifying part. Most of us are actively sabotaging this, like, tireless biological machinery without even realizing it. And we're often using the exact foods we think are perfectly fine.
Yeah, and that sabotage happens completely in the dark. You can't feel a microscopic tear in your blood vessel. You can't feel plaques slowly accumulating over 3 decades.
Because it's silent.
Exactly. Because the damage is completely silent, we tend to just ignore it until there's, well, a catastrophic event.
Right. Which brings us directly to our mission for today. We have this really fascinating set of notes and articles we're analyzing for you today titled Superfoods for Heart Health. So, okay, let's unpack this because historically, when we talk about heart health, the conversation immediately goes to genetics.
Yeah.
And it gets really sobering really fast. But the focus of these sources is completely different. It's empowering. It's looking at how your everyday food choices can actively and like literally alter the microscopic structure of your cardiovascular system.
It's a massive paradigm shift. I mean, cardiovascular nutrition used to be framed entirely around deprivation, right?
Yeah.
Which you couldn't eat.
Right. Restrict this, ban that.
Exactly. But the science we're looking at today proves that we can use nutrient-dense superfoods as active tools. We aren't just trying to avoid damage. We're talking about foods that actively build healthier blood vessels, aggressively pull cholesterol out of your body, and even generate defense mechanisms at the cellular level.
Okay, so to understand how to protect this system, we really have to look at the actual physical building blocks your body uses to construct it. Which naturally leads us to our first major category in the sources, which is fats.
Right.
But we need to be incredibly precise here because the word fat carries, so much baggage.
Oh, definitely.
We are talking about highly specific fats, like those found in salmon, avocados, and extra virgin olive oil.
Right. Because to understand why these specific fats are so crucial, we have to understand what a blood vessel actually is. The inner lining of your blood vessels is called the endothelium, and it is only one cell thick.
Wait, really? Just one cell?
Just one single cell. It's this delicate, highly active membrane.
Yeah.
So when you consume high amounts of heavily processed, saturated fats, you're basically giving your body rigid, inflammatory building blocks.
Wait, let me stop you there because I want to make sure I understand the actual mechanism. Like,
Oh.
why does saturated fat actually cause plaque? What is physically happening on that one cell thick lining?
That's an excellent question.
Yeah.
See, plaque doesn't just stick to the wall of your artery like grease in a kitchen pipe.
Okay.
It's a biological process. When you have too much LDL, which is the low-density lipoprotein that carries cholesterol, those particles can actually crash right through that delicate endothelial lining.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they get trapped inside the wall of the blood vessel. And once they're trapped, they oxidize, which sets off an alarm.
An immune response.
Exactly. Your immune system sends white blood cells to gobble up the trapped cholesterol. But they gorge themselves until they literally die, becoming what are called foam cells.
Oh, gross.
Yeah, and that graveyard of foam cells, that is what plaque actually is.
Okay, well, that is both fascinating and slightly horrifying. So it's not grease in a pipe, it's an immune response gone wrong inside the wall itself.
Exactly.
So how do the fats in like salmon, avocados, and olive oil stop that from happening?
They completely change the structural environment.
Right.
So salmon is packed with omega-3 fatty acids.
Yeah.
Omega-3s literally become part of your cell membranes, making them more fluid and flexible.
Okay.
But even more incredibly, omega-3s stimulate your endothelial cells to produce a gas called nitric oxide.
Nitric oxide.
Yeah,
Okay.
and nitric oxide signals the smooth muscles around your blood vessels to just relax and dilate. So instead of narrow, rigid pipes under high pressure, omega-3s give you wide, flexible, relaxed vessels.
Wow. That makes the recommendation to eat salmon so much more tangible. I mean, it's not just a generic healthy choice. You are literally eating the raw materials to produce nitric oxide and relax your veins.
Exactly.
And what about avocados and olive oil? The sources really highlight them for their monounsaturated fats.
Right, so monounsaturated fats are incredibly stable. Remember how I said LDL cholesterol particles get trapped in the vessel wall and oxidize?
Right.
Well, monounsaturated fats actually resist oxidation. When your body uses these fats to build its structures, Your cells are fundamentally more resilient against that inflammatory immune response we just talked about.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting and where I kind of want to push back a little.
Sure.
If you're listening to this right now and thinking, great, olive oil is magic, you might be tempted to just pour it over everything.
Right.
And the sources heavily emphasize substituting highly processed fats with olive oil. But why?
Oh.
Like, if monounsaturated fats are so protective, why can't I just keep cooking my eggs in a massive chunk of butter, eating my processed snacks, and then just, I don't know, take a shot of olive oil on the side? Wouldn't the olive oil still give me that flexible structure?
I love this question because it really gets to the heart of how digestion works. What's fascinating here is that your body has a limited capacity for absorption. If you flood your system with saturated inflammatory fats from processed foods and then add a little olive oil, your body is still primarily going to use the bad materials to build your cells. It's competitive absorption.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, you're literally just adding extra empty calories without changing the foundation. You have to remove the rigid building blocks, the excess butter, the processed oils, and actively replace them with the flexible, stable building blocks from the olive oil and avocados.
Right, so you can't just throw good materials onto a doomed construction site and expect a strong building. You have to swap the blueprints.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got our flexible walls built by omega-3s and monounsaturated fats. But what if the damage is already done? Like, what if someone listening already has high cholesterol floating around? How does the body physically remove it?
Well,
Because the sources say our next superfood category, which is fiber, is the answer. They specifically highlight oats, beans, lentils, and chia seeds.
right, and fiber is arguably the most misunderstood nutrient in the human diet. I mean, most people think of it strictly as a digestive aid.
Like, just to keep you regular.
Exactly. But soluble fiber, which is found in massive amounts in oats, beans, and chia seeds, is quite literally an internal cholesterol extraction mechanism.
Okay, wait. I'm struggling to picture this. If I eat a bowl of oatmeal or lentil soup, that food goes into my digestive tract. But my cholesterol is floating around in my bloodstream.
Right.
How does food in my stomach physically reach into my blood and pull cholesterol out? Aren't those two completely different biological highways?
That is the perfect way to visualize it. And you're right, they are different highways. But there's an intersection. And that intersection is your liver.
Okay.
Your liver produces something called bile, which is essential for digesting fats. And here is the absolute key to the whole process. Your liver manufactures bile using cholesterol.
Oh, wait, so cholesterol is the raw ingredient for bile.
Exactly. Normally, your liver releases bile into your intestines to digest your food, and then your body efficiently recycles that bile back up to the liver to be used again. It's a closed loop. But when you eat soluble fiber, like the kind in a bowl of oats, it dissolves in water in your gut and forms this thick, sticky gel.
Oh, wow.
And this gel physically binds to the bile in your intestines and traps it. Because the bile is trapped by the fiber, your body can't recycle it. It just gets flushed out of your system.
So the liver suddenly realizes it's missing its bile.
And it panics.
Uh-huh.
The liver needs more bile immediately, so it reaches right into your bloodstream, grabs the free-floating LDL cholesterol, and pulls it out of the blood to manufacture new bile. By eating a bowl of oats, you are literally forcing your liver to vacuum the bad cholesterol out of your bloodstream.
That is genuinely mind-blowing. The fiber never even touches the blood, but it creates this biological chain reaction that forces the body to clean its own blood.
Yeah.
And the sources point out how incredibly accessible these foods are. We aren't talking about a trendy $300 designer supplement. We are talking about a 50-cent bowl of oatmeal or black beans or, chia seeds dropped into yogurt. They perform this complex biological filtration flawlessly. So what does this all mean for the listener who thinks eating healthy has to be complicated or pricey?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it proves that the most sophisticated interventions for our health are often the most natural. I mean, the pharmaceutical industry spends billions trying to replicate mechanisms that a simple lentil does naturally.
I will absolutely never look at a bowl of chili the same way again.
You shouldn't.
Okay, so we have flexible vessel walls from our premium healthy fats, and we have a vacuum system pulling out the excess cholesterol thanks to soluble fiber. But our cardiovascular system is still under constant attack from, well, just the basic act of living.
Yeah, daily wear and tear.
Right, which brings us to the third category in the notes, antioxidants, the cellular shields. The sources specifically highlight blueberries, walnuts, leafy greens like spinach and kale, and dark chocolate.
So this takes us down to the atomic level. We need to talk about oxidative stress. every single day simply by converting food into energy or breathing polluted air or just experiencing stress, your body produces molecules called free radicals.
Okay, let's make this tangible because free radicals and oxidative stress sound like, those buzzwords you see on an expensive skin cream. What is actually happening?
Think of a free radical, like a player in an incredibly violent game of biological musical chairs. A free radical is an unstable molecule because it is missing an electron.
Okay.
It desperately wants to be stable, so it flies around your cells, violently ripping electrons away from healthy tissues, including that delicate inner lining of your blood vessels we talked about.
Oh, wow.
When it steals an electron, it damages the cell. That damage is oxidative stress. If this happens millions of times, you get inflammation, which we know leads to plaque buildup.
So a free radical is basically a molecular thief causing structural damage everywhere it goes. How do the antioxidants in, like, blueberries or spinach stop them?
Antioxidants are like the event organizers bringing extra chairs to the game.
Ah, okay.
They are molecules that have extra electrons to spare. So when an antioxidant encounters a free radical, it freely donates an electron, stabilizing the radical before it can rip one away from your blood vessel walls.
That is incredibly elegant. And the sources specifically call out walnuts as the absolute best nut for this. Why walnuts specifically?
Walnuts are a brilliant evolutionary package. They contain a massive concentration of antioxidants, sure, but they're also one of the only nuts that provide a significant amount of alpha-linolenic acid, which is basically the plant-based version of omega-3s.
Oh, nice.
So in one single bite, you're getting the flexible building blocks for your cell walls, plus the extra electrons to defend those walls from damage.
Okay, I have to ask about the elephant in the room here. The fourth food in this antioxidant category is dark chocolate. And if you're listening to this right now, I know you're looking for the loophole because I immediately did too. The notes say high-quality dark chocolate contains antioxidants called flavanols that support cardiovascular wellness. What exactly is a flavanol doing?
Flavanols are a specific, highly potent class of antioxidants found naturally in the cocoa bean. When consumed, they don't just neutralize those free radicals. They actually go a step further and help stimulate the endothelium to produce more of that nitric oxide we talked about earlier.
So they defend the vessel Ang, help it dilate.
Exactly.
Okay, but let's be real. If flavanols are the shield, can I just eat an entire chocolate bar after dinner? Like, is this a free pass to eat a whole chocolate bar? Does the sugar negate the flavanols, or is it a net positive?
This raises an important question, but it is absolutely not a free pass. I know. But this is where we have to be extremely disciplined about how we interpret food science. The cardiovascular benefit comes strictly from the cocoa bean. It does not come from the sugar, the milk fat, or the candy aspect. If you eat a massive, sugary milk chocolate bar, the spike in your blood sugar actually creates massive amounts of free radicals.
So you are basically spawning more thieves than the event organizers can handle.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it. The negative metabolic effects of the sugar far outweigh any minor antioxidant benefit from the low cocoa content. That's why the sources are strict about this. It must be high-quality dark chocolate, usually 70% cocoa or higher, with minimal added sugar. A small square of bitter dark chocolate provides a highly concentrated dose of flavanols without the collateral damage of sugar.
That makes perfect sense. So blueberries, walnuts, leafy greens, and a tiny bit of actual dark chocolate. They are the electron donors keeping the peace in the bloodstream. Okay, so we've broken down the chemistry of these foods, but the sources make a massive vital pivot at the end of the notes. They emphasize what they call the symphony of habits. Because, eating a bowl of oats topped with walnuts and blueberries is a fantastic start, but you can't just eat walnuts and expect to be immortal.
No, because these foods do not operate in a vacuum. To truly maximize their impact, we have to look at the overall lifestyle ecosystem surrounding our meals. The most pristine diet in the world can be completely undermined by a toxic lifestyle ecosystem.
Right.
The notes emphasize the critical importance of staying active, maintaining a healthy weight, prioritizing adequate sleep, avoiding smoking, and, perhaps most importantly, managing chronic stress.
This is where I think a lot of us hit a wall. Let's talk about stress. We all know stress is bad for us, but what is the actual biological link? If I eat a perfect diet, why does a stressful job or a terrible night of sleep negate the salmon and the spinach?
It comes down to hormones, specifically cortisol and adrenaline. When you are chronically stressed, or when you're severely sleep deprived, your body perceives that it is under attack. It floods your system with cortisol. This physically alters the state of your cardiovascular system. Cortisol causes your blood vessels to constrict, which raises your blood pressure.
Which completely reverses the relaxing effects of the nitric oxide we just worked so hard to produce with the omega-3s.
Precisely. But it gets worse.
Great.
Chronic stress actually changes the surface of those delicate endothelial cells. It makes them adhesive.
Adhesive? Wait, like sticky?
Yes. Under chronic stress, your blood vessels essentially become lined with Velcro.
Oh my God.
They become highly reactive and inflamed, which means any LDL cholesterol floating by is much more likely to get caught, trapped on the wall, and oxidized. You can eat all the soluble fiber you want to lower your cholesterol, but if chronic stress has turned your blood vessels into Velcro, you're fighting a losing battle.
Wow. If your blood vessels are coated in Velcro, it doesn't matter how premium the fuel is. That completely reframes why sleep and stress management aren't just like wellness buzzwords. They are literal structural requirements for your veins.
Exactly.
But human beings naturally love a quick fix, right? We want the one superfood pill that solves the problem. When a listener hears this massive list, change your diet, build a plate with lean protein and whole grains, eat more fiber, swap your fats, sleep 8 hours, stop stressing out, it is so easy to feel completely paralyzed. How does the listener actually implement this without feeling overwhelmed by having to change their entire life all at once?
Well, the source notes address this brilliantly by focusing on the power of consistency. The cardiovascular system thrives on sustainable habits, not quick fixes or grand, unsustainable gestures. The notes explicitly state that one perfect meal won't clear your arteries overnight, just like one stressful day won't clog them.
So it's not about being a completely different person by tomorrow morning.
Not at all. It's about the micro decisions. It's choosing to swap out a heavily processed afternoon snack for a small handful of walnuts. It's making the conscious decision to use extra virgin olive oil instead of butter when you cook your eggs on a Tuesday. It's adding a handful of spinach to the smoothie you were already planning to make. Over time, those consistent daily atomic choices compound and change the actual cellular makeup of your heart.
That actually takes so much pressure off. You don't need overnight perfection. You just need to consistently build a heart-friendly plate.
Exactly.
Let's bring all of this complex science together. Today, we've essentially looked at the architectural blueprints for a better body. We learned that the omega-3s in salmon and the monounsaturated fats in avocados and olive oil are the flexible building blocks that relax our blood vessels.
Right.
We learned that the soluble fiber in oats and beans acts as a biological trap in the gut, forcing the liver to vacuum cholesterol out of the blood. And we explored how the antioxidants in blueberries, walnuts, and dark chocolate act as molecular event organizers, donating electrons to stop free radicals from tearing up our cellular walls.
And we grounded all of that chemistry in the reality that your lifestyle, your sleep, your stress levels determines whether those vessels are smooth and clear or inflamed and sticky like Velcro. It is a continuous, living relationship.
Your heart supports you every single second. It has never taken a day off since before you were even born. Making smart, consistent food choices from these superfoods is quite literally the best investment you can make to pay it back. Which leaves us with this final thought for you to carry with you today. We talked about how tireless this biological engine is. If your heart is the body's engine, working tirelessly every single second without a break, how might the way you view your meals change if you imagined every single bite as a direct communication to that engine? Are you telling it to struggle through the mud or cruise on an open highway? What message will your next meal send?
That is a phenomenal way to evaluate your plate.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. If you found this explanation of how your body actually works helpful, be sure to share the knowledge with someone you care about so they can support their own heart health naturally. Until next time, eat well, stay active, and take care of your heart.